It's Friday, March 28th, 2025. I'm Brian Vish, and this is the Daily Dispatch, where we cover the news that matters to labor. You don't think much about the post office until it's not there. And last week, unions representing more than 640,000 postal employees reminded the country why we can't afford to take it for granted. From coast to coast, in more than 250 cities, postal workers gathered outside their buildings to rally for something more than just their jobs. They rallied for a public institution that's as old as the country itself. The American Postal Workers Union, joined by the National Association of Letter Carriers, held a National Day of Action on March 20th. Thousands of clerks, mechanics, maintenance workers, and support staff came together to send a clear message. The privatization of the U.S. Postal Service is not an efficiency, it's an existential threat. And this time, that threat has a new name: Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Under this new agency, the mission is to streamline government operations. But when streamlining means slashing 30,000 jobs and replacing service with profit, workers and communities pay. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who has now resigned, signed a letter just weeks ago welcoming DOGE into the USPS to help identify efficiencies. That letter was the final straw. In the month ahead, another 10,000 postal workers will leave under a voluntary early retirement plan. What's being called optional today is likely to become mandatory tomorrow. For postal workers, the writing is on the wall, and it spells out privatization. Ron Suslak, president of the APWU Queens Local, put it bluntly: the Postal Service is under the biggest threat it's ever seen. And after 36 years on the job, he says he's never been more worried about the future. Let's be clear. This isn't just a union issue, it's a community issue. The USPS isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. It delivers prescriptions to seniors, ballots to voters, and packages to places that FedEx and UPS won't bother to go. It's written into our Constitution for a reason. And if it's handed off to DOGE or any private company, rural America will be the first to feel the consequences, then cities, then everyone else. Higher prices, closed offices, fewer delivery days, no accountability. Brian Renfro of the Letter Carriers said it best: common sense solutions are what the Postal Service needs, not privatization efforts that will threaten 640,000 postal employees' jobs, 7.9 million jobs tied to our work, and the universal service every American relies on daily. My perspective is simple. A government of the people must protect the services that serve the people. That includes our post office. Elizabeth Swigert, a longtime union rep, said something that stuck with me. We don't usually do things like this, but that's no longer going to be the case. We're going to be out there all the time, every week. This is what a new era of labor looks like. It's not passive, it's not polite, it's militant and organized, and it's prepared to fight. The Postal Service is more than just a mail carrier. It's a national treasure. And if the people don't protect it, the vultures will tear it apart for profit. So here's your reminder. The USPS isn't for sale. Not now, not ever. And while postal workers across the country rally to protect a vital public service, another group of workers here in Michigan is drawing the line in the flower dust. From Augusta, a strike you might not have heard about, but should, because it cuts right to the core of what this country claims to value. In the small town of Augusta, Michigan, 20 workers have walked off the job at Knappen Milling Company. They're not celebrities, they don't have political PACs or million-dollar microphones. What they do have is grit and a union. On March 11th, members of the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union, Local 3G, began an unfair labor practice strike. Their message? This isn't just about pay. It's about respect, safety, and the right to organize without retaliation. Let's talk numbers. The last raise they got was 2.4%. That's about 36 to 40 cents an hour. Not even enough to cover the gas to get to work, let alone rising grocery bills. And while corporate profits rise like dough, the people actually doing the milling are left with scraps. Chief Shop Steward Rick Madison put it clearly: workers want flat raises, not percentages, because percentages favor those already making more and keep lower wage workers behind. But money's not the only issue. There's also serious safety concerns. On the night shift, only 2 workers cover 2 separate buildings. That's not just bad management. It's a disaster waiting to happen. The union is demanding that every building have at least 2 workers on site every shift. Common sense, right? Well, apparently not for Knappen Milling. Instead of bargaining in good faith, they've allegedly gone behind the union's back, negotiating directly with members and even retaliating against one with termination. The union responded by filing 2 unfair labor practice charges with the National Labor Relations Board. The case is now in motion. This strike isn't just legal, it's principled. What makes this story even more important is the broader context. Just 2 years ago, Michigan repealed its so-called right to work law. That should have been a turning point, a chance to rebuild union power. But Knappen's resistance to a union security clause shows just how hard some companies will fight to keep labor laws weak, even when the law no longer gives them cover. BCTGM International President Anthony Shelton voiced his full support for the strikers, and they've had help on the ground too. Lisa Gregory, the union's East Central rep, has been right there on the picket line. Let's be honest, this isn't the kind of story that leads national headlines. But it should, because it's the story of working class Americans doing what they've always done: standing up, speaking out, and refusing to be stepped on. This isn't just about a flour mill in Augusta. It's about whether or not we still believe that labor has dignity, that safety matters, that workers have a right to stand together without fear. And if you believe in that, then the folks on the picket line aren't just fighting for themselves. They're fighting for you. And that's it for the Daily Dispatch today. Have a good weekend, everyone. Eyes open. Voices loud.